Welcome again to Fall 2020 exhibition, COVID rendition. So we were really committed to making this happen again this year. Despite the limitations of Zoom land, we've been finding huge sources of inspiration from sharing work with each other. It's this really beautiful sense of community and sort of this shared challenge that we're all finding ourselves in. And so this past weekend, I just poured over student work from this session, from years past, and was just hugely inspired. I think we all feel this way here at Avanti, that everyone has a gift. Everyone has a gift to share with the world. Some of us are just like so musically talented. Some of us are really awesome writers. Some of us are artists. Some of us are great with our hands, good communicators, puzzle solvers, data people, math people, right? Like math's a gift, right? So, and sometimes we are able to infuse those gifts into the things that we do and to share it with the world. And so hopefully that is what's happening a little bit at these exhibitions. You know, not every project is going to speak to every student in that like spark way, but at sooner or later they're going to find that one piece that really inspires them to push their boundaries, to challenge themselves, to grow, and to share their gift with the world. So that's the goal of today, is to share this with you all, our family, our friends, our wider community. So hopefully we inspire a little spark in you, right, to go forward and to share things that you're creating. So I am going to go ahead and, with that very short introduction, pass it off to our co-host Cecily to talk a little bit about this session.
All right. Thank you, Quasar, and welcome everybody. So yeah, I would second, like, it's just been so inspiring, even amongst the challenges, to see our students dig into some content and create beautiful work. And, you know, they've been really challenged. We've all been really challenged right now. And so this session, we decided as an Avanti community, as an Avanti staff, that we wanted to focus on the theme of fear, which is a big theme. And it was really interesting and inspiring to see students and staff alike dig into this theme, you know, especially in this world that we're living in amidst a global pandemic and a crazy election and all sorts of racial injustice and social unrest and you name it. We're all being stretched to the limits. And I think we're all carrying around a certain amount of uncertainty and fear and anxiety. And just watching kids, students, and adults, you know, really dig into that and start to explore how these things are operating in our lives was really amazing. And so we were really hoping that by kind of digging in and exploring the idea of fear, that we would be able to expose it a little bit and maybe start to think about how we can more healthily navigate our way through these challenging times. We tried to also have the balance of hope. So we had fear on one side, and then we also wanted to focus a little bit on hope. And I see those as kind of two opposing forces, but I think they can work together too, because I think there's a lot of energy involved in both of those things. And so the goal at the end of the day is to envision a better or a different a future and a world that is peaceful and more positive. So that's kind of where this work came from. We all engaged in different ways and different levels, and so you'll see threads of those themes throughout the work.
Awesome. Thank you, Cecily. I want to just also not put you on the spot, Mike, but I wanted to just give you a chance to say a thing if you would like.
Well, I don't think I need to say a thing, but I'll just say that, you know, I'm so proud of the work that the teachers have done, especially Quasar and Cecily, of putting this together. We value at Avanti demonstrations of mastery, and this is our opportunity at the end of each term to be able to give a spotlight to the students, to be able to show us what they learned and take a little pride in some of the amazing things that they've achieved. So I hope that's what we accomplished tonight.
Absolutely. And there's nothing like a deadline to motivate us, right? So, yeah, very helpful. So, okay, with that, let's jump in and hear some student voices. So, first up on our list is Taz Macbeth. So, I will let Taz take it away. And Taz, if you want me to stop my share at any point so that you can just let me know and I can do that. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to present that. Sorry, everybody. Uno momento.
Cool. Like if you just like click the link to my site, mostly.
Awesome. Can do.
Yeah. Sweet. Yeah. So basically, this is a website that I created in my class, Natural Resources, with my awesome teacher, Quasar. Yeah. So basically, this project is called The Question, where basically you ask a really sort of deep and interesting question that you can't just Google, to put it simply, and you research that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But the theme for this question was this or that. So basically, you take two objects or products. So for mine, it was a raincoat or an umbrella, and just compare them. And see like which is better, you know, like which is environmentally sustainable, like how does economics, you know, how's it economically affected, all those things. So it's kind of like delving into the systemicness of it all, if that makes sense. So yeah, so this page, yeah, I had a lot of fun creating it. It was one of my favorite things to make on this website. It's basically a picture this scenario. I would love to read it if I could, but like I can't because it would take way too long. But yeah, so yeah, basically.
You want to read a line of it?
Oh, sure. Which line? I don't know. There's like so many good ones. Here, okay, so this bold italicized line is the voice of Earth. What are you doing? The raincoat is made out of a lot more nylon fabric than the umbrella, and nylon is an unrenewable resource. Just as, you know, a little snippet. So it's basically this whole thing between the perspective of you and the voice of Earth, and the voice of Earth is guiding you through that. So yeah, so there's my blog too. Yeah, and the blog was basically encapsulating all the research I've done. So for this first blog post, it was basically just delving into the whole thing, just starting out, looking at a bunch of sites and stuff. So I just looked into that a lot. Something that I found out that especially intrigued me from researching was nylon fabric. So nylon fabric makes up the canopy of umbrella often, as well as the material of a raincoat. And nylon fabric is made up of similar components that make up crude oil. So like, you know, the typical oil you see. And which the oil has components of fossilized zooplankton from sedimentary rock in the ocean. So I thought that was super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then there's my research also. Yeah. So this is a mind map. I don't know if you can see it now.
It's just taking a minute to load.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. But basically, yeah, there you go. So it basically shows the whole, like my researching process. So then there's the umbrella and the raincoat here, and then it has all these little branches that are connected with each other. And they have links too. So the blue words have links embedded in them. So you can click on them for like sources I've used. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. The discussion page, yeah. So you can find my website in the exhibition site, and you can go to the, it's loading, but there's basically this whole format that I made where you can like type a comment in the discussion. It can relate to like, you know, if you have any questions about umbrellas or raincoats, or, you know, just if you have anything to talk about, you basically just submit it and then reload, and then you can see their comment. I might need to change the settings for that. But yeah, if you want to comment anything about it, you can totally do that. And then the answer page. So here's the thing. I don't really have a clarifying, like a really simple answer to the question, umbrellas or raincoats. And that is showcased here in this ending dialogue. It's the end of the story that I started in the question page. To put it simply, it's all about learning and how learning is a never-ending process. And there's just always more to know. So you can never really find a simple answer to that. Oh yeah, and then there's also my mobile, which is basically the physical physical representation. There we go, of our site. And so here you can see like the raincoat and the umbrella I made, and like how the zipper comes from the raincoat and the materials made from that. I especially love at the end though, like the connection with the nylon fabric and the oil, and you can't see it at the bottom, but it's of the zooplankton. So yeah.
Should
And
I show
then-
them your bonus page?
Yes, please. A little self-promotion for you. So yeah, I really like film and video making. This video isn't directly related to the quest itself, but it does involve the Earth. So the prompt of this video was to make a video letter to Earth. And so that is what this is right here. So I really enjoy video and filmmaking. So if you'd like to check that out, please do. I worked really hard on it. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, Zoom applause for Taz. Ow, ow. Well done, Taz. Thank you for sharing your work with us. Okay, I'm going to bring us to our next presenter, who I need to check the site to see who that is, who is Lena. Okay, Lena, do you want me to keep your slides up, or do you want to share them yourself so you can click through?
Oh, it's just the slides. So yeah,
Okay.
you can just, yep.
Awesome.
That's good to go. So I'm presenting for Cecily's commercial art class, and what you see on screen is my individual art project. Each student in the class was required to do one for this session. It was pretty much all we did the whole time. It was kind of our main focus. We did have some like, little, we had like little art discussions about like one piece every week, and we had other like exercises that we did, but this was our main thing. So we started out with a couple of planning assignments, kind of finding out what we'd like to do with our art and what we want to do for the project. We also went and looked for artists that did stuff like that we were wanting to do. So that was really interesting to find new artists. I found a very interesting artist to me that's on Instagram. So I will let you know that not everyone in this class is a seasoned artist, and that was like kind of the point. The art class was meant to, actually Cecily wanted me to bring up this quote from the artist Carol Walker. There's no diploma in the world that declares you as an artist. It's not like becoming a doctor. You can declare yourself an artist and then figure out how to be an artist. And that's, I think, what we were kind of doing the whole time, was figuring out how to be an artist in a little bit, like in a way, with just one little art project. And I've been doing art, since I could make it, but it was still, for me, it was still a helpful experience. I gained a good deal of experience in like different medias that I wanted to start working with, like these dolls. I really like doing stuff with dolls, but I wanted to like do something bigger for this, and I think that was really interesting for me. I also don't do a lot of stuff on Canvas, and I've never really incorporated writing into like my visual kinds of work, so it was interesting to make poems for a visual piece. So I think it really helped me there. It also helped me realize along the way kind of where my art comes from and what I would like to do with it. So I think that's something that probably happened for other people maybe as well. So I want to thank Cecily for giving everybody in the class that opportunity and helping us along the way with all those projects. So that's about all I have. But check out the Padlet thing that we have for art. There's a lot of cool stuff under there that I really enjoyed looking at. And thank you again.
Thank you,
Ow.
Lena.
That was so cool, Lena.
Thanks. I try.
That's awesome. Cool. Okay. Next up, we have Rhiannon. Yeah. Give it up for Rhiannon.
So I'm here to present for the Cecily's Art of Horror and Haunted School class. So first I'm going to talk about stuff that isn't really on the slideshow. So first, going into the session's theme of fear, our class explored a lot of different fears that we each had personally. And something that we were still able to do this year was the Avanti Haunt, which was amazing that we were still able to do it. But we did do it a little differently this year. So for this year, we partnered with different downtown businesses and created kind of like a scavenger hunt. So like each group made their own video, and then each video was put into a business. And so when you would go to a business, you'd watch a video, and then it'd give you a hint of where to go next. So it was like a scavenger hunt. And then, sorry, I'm trying to think. Another important project that we did was a project based on the Mexican holiday, the Day of the Dead. And I'm
Rhiannon, we lost your sound. Can you hear us?
that you lost, like because of the, what is it called? Because of the pandemic right now. And so we just created something to symbolize, which I have on the second slide. I created my own project for it. So this was something I made to symbolize the loss of my grandpa. So on the left side, I just have some collages of him throughout his life. And then on the right, I have a poem about him and some bowling pins that I made out of Play-Doh because he was like a professional bowler. So everyone made some really amazing projects. And the first slide, if you could go to that one, please, Quasar. This one was another project that we did, and the left picture is actually something that I made for the project. And then on the right was another student's project where one student created a poem and then the other one did the picture. So, yeah.
It's very cool. Thank you, Rhiannon, for sharing that work.
Thank you, Rhiannon.
Awesome. Okay, so next up on our list is not Kit. It's Adeline.
Oh, right. Okay, you guys tell me if I cut out because my Wi-Fi is really bad. So.
Noted.
And also, do you want me to screen share this because so I can scroll through it? It's
You
just the exhibition page.
Oh, you can if you have it up, or if it doesn't work, I can do it. So.
Okay, thank you. We'll have to find out. Okay, so I am also a student in the Art of Horror, and I will be talking about our self-portrait of our shadow side, which was like the best thing. So as we all know, our theme for this quarter was fear, and oh, man, I love horror. So when I was in the Art of Horror and the theme was fear, I was just like, this is perfect. This is my natural habitat. So as some of our students mentioned, we did a lot of kind of, I felt like a prep towards our like final project, almost, for me at least. It was so cool. So we did, as mentioned, we did a project fear, which was drawing / writing your fears, which was so cool. It was like, you got to see everyone's imagine. It was so cool. Sorry. Anyway, so we did a project fear. We did illustrations and English to that. We did understanding our dark side. So we had a lot of discussion about kind of like this theme of having a dark side, a shadow side of yourself. And it was a very in general idea, that's what I love about the Art of Horror, is that our class, it was very generalized, but the generalization brought out your creativity to show like how you perceive your shadow side or your fear. So when they said for our other project, when they said, you know, draw or illustrate your fear in some sort of way or write it out, you know, it could be something as simple as like, oh, I have a fear of spiders, which I do. Or I have, you know, I have a physical fear, but I got to dig deep and deep, and I actually chose the fear of war, which was just something really like, it kind of was like under a couple layers. I was like, oh, I guess that is one of my fears. You don't realize it. So I feel like the Art of Horror was able to pull a lot out of people, and it really showed people and kind of let them blossom, which was super cool. So anyway, our prompt for the topic I'll be talking about was our shadow side self-portrait. Now, when we got this assignment, they were like, okay, draw a picture of your shadow side. And I was like, what? I was like, my shadow, I was like, do they mean my shadow when the sun's setting, or do they mean my shadow like, I had no idea. It was such a vague topic, but it really allowed me to dig really deep into this topic. So of course I had no idea what other people were thinking, and we kind of went around and then like, so how is your thought process going? And when we were, we were explaining to each other our ideas before we got to see them, and they were so amazing. Some people were like, oh, I'm gonna draw, some people were gonna draw a portrait of themselves. Other people weren't even going to draw a portrait of a human. It was incredible, just like the diversity you got. So I'm going to share my screen and show, this is also on the Avanti exhibition website, so I recommend seeing it in actually good quality. But it's amazing what people came up with. Let me see if this screen share will work. Is that sharing my screen?
It is.
Yeah, okay, cool. So we came up with, oops, oh, I clicked on a random site. Let me come back. There we go. So we came up with some crazy stuff. So mine is on, it's that nice picture of Debbie, as I call her, with the pumpkin on her head. But, that was a human. We had animals, we had humans, we had unknown creatures, we had crazy self-portraits, we had gods. I'm not really sure, but it was amazing to see what these people came up with. And I'll share what went through my head, because I love to see what goes through these people's heads and kind of their explanation for their shadow side. Like how is this wolf that's headless your shadow side? Like, what does it represent of you? How does a lady with no face and a pumpkin represent me? I'm sure that's what you guys are wondering. How is this person or thing up in the heavens representing their shadow side? It was so interesting to see, not just darkness and like creepy crawlies. It was all over the place, which was phenomenal. So just a little bit going into mine, because I love to share kind of like this mentality that I had when I was going into this project. When I was first going into this project, I was like, again, like a shadow side. I was like, I could draw like some scare. I was like, no, we're not gonna do like super scare. We're gonna do like the bizarre, weird, kind of like, I had to really think about myself. And I think that's what makes these pictures so powerful, is you really have to dig deep into yourself to find that shadow side. So when I had created my shadow side, the really generalized story behind mine is that I've been called rambunctious, and it's pretty accurate. I'm a very rambunctious, extroverted person who's just like right in your face. As soon as you meet me, I'm like, hi, I love everything. And they're just like, oh, it's too much, I can't handle it. And like, some people are like totally with me. They're like, I'm also rambunctious. And some people are like, yeah, back off, Bob, just need a couple minutes. So when I thought of like kind of portraying that extroverty obnoxiousness, I was like, it really reminded me of like the equivalent. It's hard to explain, but it felt like if I walked up to someone who looked like that person I drew, and like I had like oh man, I'm just gonna walk away. Like that's kind of what I feel like when people walk up to me and I'm like that explosive, like, bah, I love everything. They're like, I'm gonna turn around and I gotta go. And I'm like, oh. So I kind of felt like that person, even though they're physically not nice to look at, I feel like sometimes I'm the equivalent of walking up to someone with a blown out face, because I'm just so obnoxious. And I feel like that is what I could consider my shadow side. And then of course I have my friend Mr. Pumpkin on my head, because he's been with me through these tough times of quarantine. But it just, I feel like when you walk up to me, I'm a weirdo, and that's what I drew. So that was like my rendition of this shadow side project, and it was so interesting to see. It was completely different from person to person on what they had created, and it was just amazing to even interpret what these people are trying to say through these portraits. So overall, Art of Horror was a blast. I'm gonna miss it, but this project was one of my absolute favorites because it was just so unique. It really, it was a challenge, but it really brought out like just a good chunk of you that you might not even have realized was there. So anyway, that went on a rant, but I think that's all I have to say about this project. That makes screen share. Yay!
Thank you, Adeline.
Thank you.
That was awesome. What was the writing up in the corner?
Oh, that says Plamia e Debbie in Russian, which means Debbie has a flame. Because we named her Debbie. We don't know why. It's a good name. It's a real good name.
It suits her well.
Yes, it does. All right, cool. So our last presenter for the night is Adeline, and I do believe we will have a little bit of time. We'll say like maybe 10 minutes for Q&A. So if participants have questions for our presenters, you can kind of think about those now and pop those into the Q&A form, and we can get to those. No pressure, however, to ask a question, but if you would like, we can stick around. So yeah, with that, I will pass it over to Ione.
Yay. In the red corner is Noni.
And the blow, Schmidt.
The blue bolt of lightning. All
These.
right, I'm gonna share my screen. Alrighty, here we are. So this is my website. Taz a little bit earlier showed her website. It's the same concept essentially. You take the idea of this or that, like, oh, should I use this or that? And the basis you're going off of is, well, you can add the moral thing in there, but the biggest part is usually like, okay, environmentally, which one, causes the least amount of waste? And not just that, but you look at both of them. So that's just the biggest part of the project. Alrighty. So this is my front page. You're greeted by me just soaking in a cup of tea, and you're not allowed to scroll past that, and so don't
do it.
don't do it. All right. In here, I provide the story, which is kind of like what I told you, but I guess I didn't say it yet. So the idea of my this or that question is black tea or coffee, and we're all from the Pacific Northwest, or we all at least lived there. So I think everyone can understand, needing caffeine to get through the day, and so this has always been a thing I've been wondering with myself, and I thought it'd be fun if I looked past like, which is better to consume, and instead just be like, okay, how did it get there? So that was kind of fun. Fun fact, all these background pieces, and this, I drew all of it. I thought this would be a fun opportunity to just draw. I like it. I like this sort of style of simple ink and whatever. All right, so that was the story. Research. This is just the page where I have like my bibliography, but the actual meat of it is the blog, the actual assignment. And so overall, I was supposed to make a blog post about it, and I didn't really get around to the third one, but I got these first two down. This one is about if caffeine addiction is really a thing. Spoiler alert, it definitely is. But also it explores why, and that's pretty much it. Why, how maybe you should get rid of it if you want to keep it, all that sort of stuff. And then on this one, it's about going through the life. It's called the product's life cycle. That's what you call like the story behind a product you buy. And so it goes behind teas and coffees thing. And you basically go through.
It's a baby coffee bean and an old man tea bag. I just put that together, like the cradle to grave. That's so great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little baby coffee bean and an old man tea bag. And he's telling me his life story while I hold a little baby coffee bean. Yeah, I just had fun making the thumbnails and the background pieces. but yeah, the answer, I haven't gotten around to putting it down, but I'm pretty sure if you want to drink coffee and black tea, which one based off of like, oh, how much waste does it cause? Then then, after going through this one, which is the most informational on that, I sort of came to the conclusion that tea is probably going to be less wasteful. Coffee's whole process, it's a lot. You have to roast it, which takes up a lot of heat and energy. You have to use a lot of water just to like grow it, separate it. And tea, it's not 100% on like, oh, tea is better, but and that's mainly because like I couldn't find a whole lot of information on tea like I could on coffee, but essentially tea is just kind of like a house plant, whereas coffee is its own entity that eats everything around it. So I guess that's more of your own conclusion. This is the questions page. In here, I just left a spot where you can ask me a question. So, if you go on there and ask me a question, you can do that. I forgot to show this, but if you go on the blog, sorry, it's a little slow at clicking. You can click on it and it'll show it, which pretty normal function, but I thought I'd show that off. So this is what it would look like. Yeah, I think that's mainly, I think that's the main thing of my website quest blog thing, smorgasbord. I had a lot of fun making it. It was really fun when Quasar was like, oh, do you want to present? And I was like, heck yeah, I did work a lot on this. So, yeah. I think that's all I have to
Awesome.
say.
Thank you, Ione. Some applause. Yes. So, okay. I just want to say, like, 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago, we were having a Zoom class. It was sort of your typical, everyone was quiet, no one really wanted to be there. And Ione just started a conversation about finding our inspiration. Like, how do we go about this work right now? And really the only way that we're going to be able to do it and sustain ourselves is if we find the inspiration in the work that we're doing. Like, no matter what it is, find that little piece of yourself that you can stitch into that work, right? And then shape it to something that is going to drive you. And so all of you people here who are presenting like are really representative of that, of taking ownership of your learning, taking ownership of this work, and pride in creating beautiful work that you can share. And I just want to thank you again for being here and for sharing that with all of us. And we have 160 students at our school, and they have been working really hard. So yes, we only have 3 classes at Avanti right now, but all 3 of those classes likely came with their own hefty, complex, all-encompassing, creative project, right? So I'm going to just show you all real quick the website that we have for exhibition, and then we'll do a quick Q&A, and then we will end our event for tonight. So the exhibition website, I put a link in the chat for all the participants today. The link takes you to our homepage that sort of gives a brief overview of like why we do exhibitions, like why we think they matter. And then you can actually look at previous work as well. But the exhibition for this session is under this tab, and it looks like this. It gives a brief introduction of fear and hope. And then our table of contents will help you to navigate to the course that you're most interested in, although I recommend just scrolling because you're going to find some really cool stuff. So this is the Padlet that was mentioned, which can be popped out into its own tab, which is very nice to just look at it in its own space. There's some really beautiful work in here, including I discovered a piano piece by Elias that I listened to earlier. Highly
So
recommend.
cool.
Yeah, so as you scroll down, you'll see the work that is done for each class. Usually there is a description, a little bit of what we were doing in that class, links to other pages, and the student work itself. Here's Ione and Taz's work and Edgar Allan Poe class. So please take some time to navigate and find your students' work, find your work, find your friends' work, and check it out. I will also just mention that Orientation's got their own page too. So they made some podcasts, and when you're clicking on podcasts, it's just the link is underneath their flag image. So that will pop out to a podcast file that you can listen to. So lots of stuff going on this session. And of course, I spent time on my classes, but I should also mention there's Spanish, projects, and there's a ton of really awesome math projects this session. Super inspired projects. Again, finding inspiration in whatever it is that we're doing, tailored to our own selves. So that is the site. And Cecily, do you want to say anything else about that?
The only thing I'll just throw in there is that the Memorial Altar project, which you'll see on there, there's a few pictures of it, but it is actually in process of being built right now, and it is live in the pavilion at Avanti. So I think there's going to be things being added to it throughout the week, those last trickling items, but it's there, and anyone who wants to go check it out and spend a little time in the garden, please do so, because it's really nice to just be in the actual physical space of artwork.
Absolutely. There should also be some mobiles hanging up in the garden, and Adeline, I know your poster is hanging up at the front of the school, and that artwork is also still around town, right? So, so yeah, go check it out. And we just also, before we end, I just want to say that there was an anonymous note that someone's pug is intentionally watching this Zoom webinar, and I just think that that's really funny. Find the joy, people. Find the hope within the fear. Attendees, do you want to say anything before we synchronous clap and end this event?
Yeah, make sure that question's good in if you want to say anything.
Any other questions? Anything else anybody wants to say?
Thanks to the panelists for coming and introducing your work. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, thank you, Quasar and Cecily, for hosting this, and thank you to everyone attending who came. Thank you so much for that.
Ow,
Yeah.
ow! Hey, mic's off. Let's do like some synchronous clap and go enjoy your evening and check out some beautiful work, people.
Oh wait, there's one question. What if you can't access something on the website?
Okay, so if some things have not been set as viewable by the public, and so if that's true and there's a little spot that says request access, if you could just put in that comment box, please make this link viewable by anyone on the internet, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, and some people don't have some of their things put in, like some of the podcasts. Mine's still uploading because it's very, very long, so.
Yes, we had some last minute technical difficulties, of course, in the land of COVID. That is to be expected. So check back in on Friday also, because Friday we should have everything really finalized and things uploaded. So thanks for saying that. Okay.
One more time.
3, 2, 1. Thank you guys for being here. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye, thank you.
Appreciate all of you.